悪さをすれば構ってもらえるな憧れだった。
You could even say you gushed over it. Oh wait, that's for tomorrow. We opened this week with yet another flashback, though this one seemed to go even further back to Chroma's childhood when he was a primary school student. And strangely enough, for this sequence, they also changed out his VA, which I would understand if they wanted to give him like a female voice to make him sound like a kid, but no, they just went with another male VA who was just 2 years younger than the normal one. Oh, I get it. It's because he played a Yu-Gi-Oh character and they wanted to give him a rival. Like seriously, just give this kid a super memeable face and he wouldn't look all that out of place. Anyway, Chroma's class assignment was the standard future prospects report, which he couldn't figure out what he wanted to be just yet. Thus, Rival-kun, whose class was doing the same assignment, decided to show off his dream and even offered to let him copy it. And of course, it was to become an evil general, and he even knew where he wanted to work. Yeah, and its name is Amazon. What's your point? Actually, it was a tech company called Omiso that was still fairly small, yet also well known to the public, and also seemed to be dealing in some shady deals, so yeah, basically Apple. This of course woke something up in Chroma, who did indeed decide to copy a little off the kid's report, but his intentions were a little different. So yeah, I guess you could interpret this as him wanting the thrill and the challenge of finding some sort of do-gooder, and it didn't even necessarily have to be a magical girl, just someone who could give him the attention he wanted. It's not the deepest motivation, but it does flesh him out and even kind of parallels nicely with Chizuko, as basically both had the same goals of wanting to escalate the fight of good and evil to its pinnacle, so yeah, fairly interesting stuff. However, and in spite of telling Rival-kun that he wouldn't work under him, Chroma still ended up having others he needed to answer to. Hey, can someone tell the neighbor to stop playing Pizza Tower at this hour? And Chizuko ended up twisting the dagger when she kinda said that he didn't exactly come off as an evil mastermind right after he had been chewed out by his superiors. Of course, she just figured he was having another one of his hissy fits and would be back sooner rather than later. However, just as she closed the door, frickin' Darth Vader showed up at her house. No wait, it's just Dio wearing another one of his fancy masks. Actually, this dude was Hugh of the Abyss, which, yeah, that just sounds like one of the most underwhelming names ever, so I'm just gonna stick with calling him Dio. Anyway, he was there by the direct order of Foso Magnum's HQ to replace Chroma as the evil villain of their city, and wanted to rub it in the dude's face. And when he couldn't find him, he tried to offer Chizuko the position of his assistant, which she very wisely declined, considering how this guy treats ladies usually. Of course, she also figured that fighting Fusion would be a little much for Berry Blossom, so she tried to get Chroma to fight for his position, as he would definitely be the lesser of the two evils. However, the guy himself still had his doubts even before Chizuko pointed them out. He still wanted to be a villain, especially after remembering that flashback, but didn't know how to go about it. Fortunately, he had a very supportive subordinate who mostly didn't want her precious magical girl to be chewed out by the vampire who eats with his fingers. Speaking of whom, he managed to take over a TV station from one of the most chill newscasters ever. Like seriously, after Dio, this lady is low-key one of the funniest characters in this whole episode. Anyway, Kaju caught the special news report. Well, that's easy enough to do these days. Of course, being your typical hot-headed pink, she decided to rush into an obvious trap and was captured mid-speech. Thus, of all people, it ended up falling into the hands of the other villains to save the day. So, am I the only one who's kind of a sucker for this trope, no matter how many times they do it? However, once they got to the studio, they ran into a little issue, though I'm pretty sure that's just meant to keep Sanosuke out. Though for Masho, it was a little more direct and kind of prejudiced, which is really just your average news corporation. Fortunately, Chizuko had a solution that could solve all of their problems. Meanwhile, Dio was being Dio.
He's in, boys! He did it! He said it!
However, the day was saved by... Cure Wing was a mistake. But yeah, I guess his plan was to be a distraction, which certainly worked as everyone was traumatized except for the oblivious Kaju. Thus, she tried to get out her wand with her hair, so wait, is she like part Squid Girl or something? Well, whatever the case, she screwed up and dropped it, but it was caught by Masho, who then passed it on to Chroma, who then passed it on to Chizuko. Okay, anyone else want to see a football or rugby-themed magical girl anime? Anyway, Chizuko managed to kind of use the wand, I'm guessing because she does have magic as an evil general, but yeah, not sure if that should apply to good magic too, but whatever, the magic systems here still make more sense than Gotchard. However, for Dio, if he lost one hostage, he could always just replace it with another. As a result, Chizuko was shown on television, which makes me wonder if this is going to be called back to later, especially with one of her classmates seeing her. Well, for now at least, they were in trouble as Dio held all of the cards and went to one of his usual extra ham and cheese speeches. I swear, I would pay good money to see footage of Takehito Koyasu in the recording room. Dude just seems like he's having a fun time every time he reads his scripts. However, someone was a connoisseur of hammy villain speeches, as Chizuko, in a hilariously awesome display of her magical girl fanning, managed to go full Super Saiyan and actually managed to start to melt her chains. As a result, she also destroyed Dio's power glove, which he just kind of established in the previous scene. This gave Chroma an idea to tattle on him to their higher-ups. Yeah, again, you just gotta love how most of Chroma's evil tactics mostly boil down to schoolyard bullying. But it did end up working, as I guess those things are a little pricey these days. Damn, D-Space is merciless even in this show. Thus, Dio was defeated not by Star Platinum, but rather by his company's sanctions that turned him into a fish. Though interestingly, Masho looked at himself here, maybe hinting that he was under a similar curse. Granted, at least he could still move around for the most part. The philosophy of every influencer these days, though thankfully at least they're starting to get some mixed results. But yeah, Magical Girl number 2 ended up revealing his very obvious true identity to Kaju, much to her shock and confusion. Thus, and wanting to make sure he didn't reveal Chizuko's alliances, he gave her the most Bishi of Bishi excuses of why he helped her, and completely turned the magical girl into a strawberry. And with that, the episode ended with Chroma being reinstated as an evil general, and Kaju trying to wash off the redness from her face. This was a really fun little episode that also helped to expand the setting a little. I mean, obviously, especially for me, Dio was just a delight, mostly thanks to his VA's usual great performance, but they also managed to establish a little more about Chroma and who he was working for. Yeah, it wasn't much, but for a show like this, it was intriguing enough, especially amongst the chaos of all of these characters. I was actually thinking that the show needs some new characters to help shake things up, and boy did they deliver. Obviously, Dio, or Hugh of the Abyss, was a great ham and cheese sandwich, as is so often the case with any villain played by Takehito Koyasu. Sure, he was turned into a fish by the end, but he still ended up opening the floodgates to some interesting new details to the evil organization that Chroma, and technically Chizuko, were working for. I'm also kind of curious if Rival-kun is going to return, as he was kind of the one who started Chroma down his path of villainy. Whatever the case, knowing that there are greater evils in the show will likely make the climax a little more interesting, even though the show is a bit more of a comedic parody of the magical girl genre. On that note, along with Dio, the core trio of the show continue to have some great chemistry, and also have their moments like Kaju's living hair, Chizuko going Super Saiyan, and Chroma doing that. But yeah, their interactions with each other remain fun, including some of the usual anime rom-com nonsense. And it overall made for a fun episode that even managed to shake a few things up. Whatever greater evil may come, I guess we can kind of rely on these idiots to do something about it, hopefully. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check back tomorrow for a bit of a special video. Yeah, it was a little bit of a crunch, but we managed to get one more villain video out for the month of Halloween, on the actual day no less, and in celebration of a certain series getting a second season. Look forward to it. Until then though, farewell for now my friends, and okay, nose a wilding? Alright, I can just go out shopping and he took my wallet. Damn it!